both surprised by the way we looked. The years had changed us too.
Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Gung Ho. It's January 15, 2025. Going to speak about what's going on now, political. I think you all know that I'm a Marine captain. I was in Vietnam in 1967 and 68 with the 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines. They were what you call a line battalion. Did a lot of fighting against North Vietnamese Army. I know about the rules of engagement. We had to abide by the rules of engagement. I'm talking about this because I was watching the Senate hearing on Trump's nominee for the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. And I watched it all day long, and I was angry that a person like him, Hegseth, could be considered for the Secretary of Defense. I don't see any good character in him, especially someone that doesn't want to follow the rules of engagement that the Geneva Conference came out with after the Second World War. It basically means that you don't murder people during a war. For example, yes, you go out to kill the enemy. You kill the enemy. You don't murder them. If you capture them, they're prisoners, and you kill them, that's a murder. If you kill innocent civilians, that's murder. If by chance you get turned in, it doesn't matter, you're in a combat zone and you murder someone, that's murder. You'll be court-martialed and be put away for a long, long time. That has happened on occasion. I know firsthand about things like that, but the rules of engagement are clear. Do not murder anyone while you're out there. And you have to know the difference. It's not easy, it's not easy to make that determination, whether to kill or murder. Any person that, has common sense will tell you whether it's a murder or to kill. But unfortunately, there are men and women too, I guess, that they go over the line and they murder people in a combat zone. They murder innocent civilians. They murder prisoners. I saw a murder in Vietnam, and a woman was murdered. And I never will forget what I saw, what I heard. It made me very angry. I couldn't stop it, actually. But I didn't think about turning the people involved in it in. But on occasion, there'll be other Marines around, and there'll be other soldiers around, and they'll watch murder go down, and they'll actually turn in the perpetrator, and the perpetrator will be court-martialed. Those officers, those soldiers or Marines that watch this happen, they have to testify against the murderer. This has happened. And what I found out is this guy, Pete Hegseth, petitioned Trump to pardon these officers and soldiers that have been found guilty of murder in Iraq, I guess it was. They were doing time, and Hegseth petitioned Trump to pardon them, and they were pardoned. That was a slap in the face to old military men out there, women, when they came forward, some of them, and said, look, I saw this, I saw them do this. They testified under oath, and then it didn't mean anything to them. That's a dividing point in the military. You don't want to have people out there that think that they could murder people and not be held accountable. A lot of people think that way. So that was not a good thing that Trump did. What else? I keep going back to this. Trump being my commander-in-chief, it's an insult to me. It's an insult to all of us. It makes us look like the laughingstock around the world. Commander-in-chief. This is the guy that I'm going to say it again, that during the Vietnam War, he was on a show with Howard Stern, and he said, the only risk I had was getting a sexually transmitted disease during the Vietnam War. Another one of those rich and infamous people that were in favor of the war but never fought in the war. It goes on and on and on. There's so many of them. Oh my God. Trump himself got 5 deferments. Clinton got about 7 or 8. George W. Bush got 5, I guess, or 6. Didn't stop them from becoming our commander-in-chief when they have no connection about the military. And that's happening again here. This guy is, he has character. Heck, it's all bad. It's a shame that he's being nominated, and he's probably going to be appointed because there are so many cowards in the Senate. They will not go against Trump. They'll fall in line. They will prostitute in front of Trump. They will fall in line and kiss his ring or kiss his ass, whatever you want to call it. These are all cowards. And the funny thing is that all of us that serve in high positions, especially the military people, every one of us takes an oath. And let me tell you, when I was sworn in on March 15, 1966, this is what I had to say. Stood up, raised my hand. I, Joseph Giannini, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the U.S. against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That's the oath that I took when I stood up to become a Marine. And this is the oath that the President of the United States takes when he is sworn in on Inauguration Day. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. Trump taking this oath is a mockery. It's like he doesn't care about our Constitution. Remember this. Trump tried to overturn an election that he lost. That is a crime. The fact that the case is not being prosecuted right now does not exonerate him. He is still a criminal. He just hasn't been convicted. Maybe he never will. It looks like he never will. But the fact that he was involved in that January 6th assault on our Capitol made him a criminal. He can't get around that. He is a criminal. He hasn't stood before justice yet. No justice has been rendered against him. He's not accountable at this point. Maybe someday he will. But he did it. We saw it. We heard it. He's a criminal. And too many of us, it didn't register. This guy is a criminal. He's a crook. He doesn't respect people in the military. People that served in Vietnam and other people that served before us and after us, he calls anybody that served a sucker. And he wants the allegiance of the military people. He called people that got killed in Vietnam, World War II, losers because they stand and they serve. Many of us, when we serve, we go somewhere overseas, and we think we're doing the right thing, and later on we found out it was a lie. Vietnam, big lie. Iraq, Afghanistan, lies. It happens over and over again, but those that serve, we don't determine where we serve. You go in and they tell you where to go, and if you don't follow that order, you get court-martialed. It's not like being a civilian in the military. They have you, and you go and you do what you're told to do, but you do not commit crimes. So here we have a guy that's nominated, and he's a Christian Zionist. I'm not sure exactly what that means. And he's got a tattoo on his chest on the right side of a Jerusalem cross. Jerusalem cross was a symbol for some of the Crusaders back during that time when they were fighting for God. And they were going into the Middle East and they were killing people for God. How's that? That's what they were doing. They would rape, pillage, murder for God, Christian God. Now, he's a Christian Zionist. I think that means he believes in the end times, that there's going to be a big war, that Christ is going to come again, and there's going to be a big war in the Middle East, and that the Israelis there are going to be given a chance to convert, and if they don't, they'll be killed too. That's what I think he believes. Nobody questioned him about it. That's bizarre that he has that kind of tattoo. Nobody questioned him whether or not he's an alcoholic. From what has been said about him, he's got a drinking problem. He said he's going to stop. I don't know if he could do that. And he's got a problem with women. Over and over again, he's been accused of sexual abuse. These are not, he says, anonymous. No, they're not anonymous. The Senate committee has the names. They have the facts. And this guy's going to sit in the Pentagon and control a budget that's almost $1 trillion and involves the people, maybe 3 million people altogether, the defense industrial complex. This doesn't make sense, and he's only loyal to really Trump. That's not what we're about. His loyalty is supposed to be to the Constitution of the United States. And he has not agreed to follow the rules of engagement. He doesn't want to abide by the Geneva Convention. Let's go back somewhat. Yes, I'm a Marine officer, but when I got out of the Marine Corps, I only got out because I wouldn't go back to Vietnam. I knew what it was to be in Vietnam and to fight in Vietnam. You had to have a lot of luck to survive. I wouldn't go back again. I thought luck was a big factor, and my luck tank, my Vietnam luck meter was on empty. I'm not going back. I got out, went to law school, and here I am 81 years later. 81 years old, and I'm angry about a lot of things, and the most things that I'm angry about is what's going on here with our government, with our democracy. I see the corruption, I see it's systemic, and I'm getting a chance to do this. It's called freedom of speech, and I'm going to keep doing it. I found out that, after all these years being in there and fighting for people, for their, these people accused of crimes, most of them were guilty, some of them were innocent, but fighting and fighting and fighting, that all along I was up against systemic corruption. And it's hard to believe the FBI, the Department of Justice, federal judges, detectives, cops, there's too much corruption out there. And I just did a show with a woman by the name of Barbara Feldman. She was framed out here, framed in the USA. It happens too often. President Trump was going to be president soon, is only there because of systemic corruption got him there. Our government, I'm talking about the FBI, Department of Justice, and federal judges, gave him a pass while he was money laundering with an FBI informant that was born in Russia. A lot of money came into the Trump organization in Bayrock that the Russian owned. And while this Russian informer was working for, I keep saying this, he was working for Mueller, who was the FBI director at the time. All this happened, I don't know why it happened, but Trump was a big beneficiary of about $1 billion of stolen money that came his way into his partnership with this Russian informer who was working for Mueller. This all happened. No one is out there really hammering at this story but me. People are afraid. The media is afraid to say this. Mainstream media, cable, whatever it is, they don't say what I'm saying, that Trump is only there because he was able to get all this money while he was, I don't know what he was doing, but his ass was covered by the federal government. And they're afraid to say they did this. Mueller was supposed to go after Trump. And when I saw that, I said, no, he will never get Trump. He never did. There are a lot of people out there that know how Trump rose, and it's all bad. Big time crook, con artist. I mean, he doesn't care about anyone but himself. It's so obvious. And all he cares about, when you're near him, he wants your loyalty. He doesn't care about the rule of law. He doesn't care about our Constitution. It's so evident. And people like me that swore to uphold the Constitution against all enemies, I see him, Trump, and all his acolytes, all the people that look up to him as domestic enemies of the Constitution and of our democracy. And for me, you have to say this now, at this time. It's frightening. It's aggravating. But I'm not going to let it make me stand down. I'm going to keep doing this. And I'm glad I have the opportunity to do these shows and get them out there. Freedom of speech. There are not many out there right now that will do this. That will come out and say, he's there. Trump is there because our government put him there. And they're afraid to say that because a lot of people will go down. And I mean a lot of people. I think Obama knows about how Trump rose from all those bankruptcies with Russian money. I think George W. Bush knows. We know Mueller knows. There's all these people involved in it. And they don't want to say anything because they know if they say something, they're gonna out. And a lot of people they know high up in our government. So Trump is out there, and he's the worst thing that could happen to us. He looks up to dictators. Oh my God. He really, I guess, loves Putin. And he's not going to help the Ukrainians, I don't think. He'll only do what we can force him to do, which is not that much, I don't think. And as far as the Palestinians, they are dead people walking. They're going to be exterminated or pushed off the land completely. And a Christian Zionist is a person that believes that the Israelis are entitled to that land because God gave them to them. It doesn't matter that other people are there. You could push them off. That's what they're doing. And the bad thing about that is that I think every bomb that's dropped on the Palestinians, every artillery round, some of the tanks, I think all the planes, those bombs were made here. They were sold by us or given to us, to the Israelis. So we are complicit in a genocide that's going on over there right now. We are complicit. I mean, I've seen photographs of children playing with the results of, what's left of bombs. And on the bombs, on the canisters or whatever, it's USA or US. They're ours. This is not going to work out good for us. Israel's standing will never be good anymore. They'll never be safe. They think that they could treat the Palestinians like they're just a problem. I don't mind saying this, but the Israelis, some think they can do this. They have the right to do this. They're called racist, supremacists. They're in the government right now, and they're controlling the Israeli government. So they think of the Palestinians like the Nazis thought of other people, like the Jews, the Russians, Czechoslovakians, that they were subhumans. You could kill them. You could murder them. Well, that's what's happening to the Palestinians. The Israelis, some of them are acting like the Nazis did during the Second World War. That was all-out war. We were involved in that too. I mean, nobody's hands were clean. All-out war means you can kill anybody. Anybody that's in the enemy territory is a target. So you could, in one night, send 300 or 400 U.S. bombers over a city and drop firebombs on that city, like Dresden, and kill 100,000 people, and say it's not a war crime. and no one's going to do anything about it. So the all-out war is what's being waged against the Palestinians right now. And they are like, I mean, it's like when you think about it, the movie The Terminator. You know, the Israelis have the tanks, have the helicopters, have the planes, have the bombs, have the ships. They have the missiles, and the Hamas have to go underground to survive, come out and fight. That's like the movie Terminator. It's really not a war. It's just a slow killing, murdering everybody that they think is involved. The Palestinians, they fight back. They don't have one artillery piece. They don't have one tank. They don't have any good missiles. They don't have no helicopters. And they fight back. That says something about them. But I'm pretty sure, I've done the research, that those bombs that the Israelis are using now, bunker buster bombs, were given to them or sold to them during the Obama administration. How's that? And it was something that they thought that, okay, we'll give the bombs to the Israelis because they're worried about the Iranians and they could use them maybe, maybe not. They were never made to be used against Palestinians in cities. They're bunker busters. They were made to use against, concrete bunkers. I mean, real or in substructure, maybe nuclear. So we gave them to the Israelis. They were not supposed to use them the way they're using them. Not only did we give them those bombs, we gave them the planes that were capable of delivering bunker busters. When I was in Nam, the biggest bomb we had was 1,000 pounds. They were dropped by B-52s. And they called it carpet bombing. That was not unusual. They made really big craters, and if you were there, got caught up in that, you got obliterated. That was the biggest bomb we had. But the Israelis have these bunker busters that start out at 2,000 pounds and probably go up to 5,000, 10,000 pounds. And they're dropping them right on urban areas. We never did that in Nam. We carpet bombed, when I was there, it was jungle, mountains. And we never carpet bombed Hanoi. We didn't use them like that. Israelis are doing whatever they want, and they're not going to be held accountable. That's pretty frightening. All right. Like I said on that last show I just did, Framed in the USA, I'm working on a really serious case right now. It's a civil case arising out of a gay man that was framed for a murder in Dallas, Texas. I was on the case, and it was dismissed last January. He was framed. It was systemic. I got on the case the first day he was arrested, 6 years after the alleged murder. And I found out while he was being held in Broward County, he was arrested in Broward County, they were going to try to extradite him back to Texas. They did. I found out that it was not a murder, that there was a killing. A guy who was killed by an explosion in his own garage, a spontaneous explosion. I had the crime scene photos that I shouldn't have had, but I got them. And I put it out there. It didn't make any difference, but I got it out there right away before he was extradited, saying not a murder. He was just killed by an explosion in his own garage. They didn't listen at first, but the media got the point. They stopped covering the case. And after a while, the DA himself, Dallas DA, got the word. I was in touch with him. I kept hammering away, and I asked him straight out, what are you going to do? Is it going to be politics over honor or honor over politics? Well, guess what? The DA himself dismissed the case and admitted they had no case. After the guy was in jail for 21 months. Framed in the USA. I'm working on that right now. It's really difficult because prosecutors have absolute immunity. Judges have absolute immunity. cops and detectives have a thing called qualified immunity. They're being protected by the courts. They made up these laws. And that's what he's up against. But again, Trump, when he committed those crimes involving January 6th, is not covered by absolute immunity. People think that absolute immunity covered that, but he did. It does not. Absolute immunity does never cover crimes. Crimes are not covered by absolute immunity. A lot of bad conduct, a lot of misconduct, a lot of mistakes are covered by absolute immunity, not crimes. So that thing about, you can walk out on the street and murder somebody, that's a crime. No, absolute immunity doesn't cover that. So crime, get it through over and over again. Trump is a big-time criminal. He's a big-time mob boss. He's going to be the most powerful mob boss in the world in a little while. He's our mob boss. It's hard for me to say that he's our president. I can't actually say that. He's not my president. He's not my commander-in-chief. He's nothing more than a mob boss. And he's the type of boss that would get killed by fellow mobsters. He's that inept. He's that corrupt. He's that self-serving. He wouldn't look out for other gangsters. He never will. Invariably, mob bosses like that get taken out somewhere along the line by an underling or another mob boss. But that's what he deems himself. Putin is the most powerful mob boss. In a little while, he will be second to Trump. But all along, I think that the way that relationship, Trump is Putin's puppy. That's the way it's going to be. He looks up to him, and we have to deal with this for another 4 years. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, enough.
I saw a familiar face walking on the avenue, both surprised by the way we looked. The years had changed us too. We smiled and both embraced like old friends often do, as childhood